Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business, Building a Brand vlog. This one, big number 245. So today we are going to be talking a little bit about these two bad boys, which are former companies and businesses of mine. There was an incredible question on last week's vlog that I would actually like to, before I do that, I need to tell you about the video that Tiege Hanley dropped this week. It's a little risque. Little risque, and it's how to cover up a hickey. Gentlemen, hickeys, come on, really? Are you really? Don't you know by now that the neck is not a place where you should be doing that thing, right? You know that it doesn't take a whole lot of suction to leave one of those bad boys and get one of those bad boys. I have had one or two or three in my life. You know, when I was a young man, and I tried the whole spoon thing and the makeup thing. Anyway, guys, here's the deal. Hickeys, they happen in the heat of passion. I get it, but you definitely shouldn't be walking around looking like, because they look a little trashy. If you want to leave one like body, not like neck or hands. Anyway, deal is this. Guys, there's a link down below. Go check out the video just in case your lady or dude, whatever you're into, gets a little frisky. Yeah, you'll know how to handle it. Seriously, I saw that video. I was like, what? Exactly. All right. So there's a business question by our friend. I'm a little all over the place. Flustered day. I had a call with DHL. DHL, they are so bad about accepting responsibility for packages not DHL, like, they're good at certain things and they are bad at other things. And so anyway, this isn't about that. And it has to do with enemy, right? God, so annoying. So annoying. I need to center myself and calm down is what I need to do. I got off the phone with this dude. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So this is what you're telling me? That my people can't count? Anyway, Paul Gilmore, great question. He says, you've talked in the past... See, it's going to be one of those vlogs. I apologize in advance. You've talked in the past about companies you couldn't fully commit to. Teeth whitening strips, Ollie. Collar patches, what was it? Fashion Anchor. You said you're no longer involved with them. Did you sell the companies outright or just the majority share so you could remain somewhat of a silent partner? I was wondering, is it better to have a small share in a lot or a large share in a few? Thanks. Love your YouTube comment. Keep it classy. Keep it at Tiege. So here's the deal. This is an incredible question and one that I really haven't talked too much about. But there's definitely a few business lessons in these two companies. So let me start with the Fashion Anchor. All right, so the Fashion Anchor, this business was something that I saw get started from like the inception. There was this dude that I was friends with that started this company. And this was back when I first started YouTube. He reached out. He's like, hey, I got this idea. And originally, the Fashion Anchor was like a pocket stay anchor. It was supposed to basically be used for the pocket square, right? You know how certain pocket squares will like fall down in your pocket? That's what originally it was. And so he sent them to me. And it wasn't like packaged or anything. This dude just followed me on YouTube. He's like, hey, I'd like you to take a look and see what you think. And I said, you know, these actually would be better for collars. And I played around and so I gave the feedback, didn't hear from him. And then eventually a few months or years later, it was probably like a year later, he came back and had the prototype for the original Fashion Anchor. And he's like, hey, would you like to promote this? And I was like, yeah, sure. I think it's an incredible product. I love the product. It doesn't mess up your shirt. And I hated having collars that went all crazy. But here's something you need to also understand about that. At the time at which the Fashion Anchor sort of started and I was having issues with my collars, it was before button-down collars like came back. Right? Button-down collars now are like super popular, they're trendy, they're in style. But back then, when this sort of started, they weren't. And so it really solved the problem. The other things you could use this for was like, you know, if you've got a button-down shirt, you don't want 3 buttons, but you want like, you know, 2 and a half, like you could use one for like a hidden button. You could also use double-sided tape. The problem with double-sided tape is that it doesn't hold as well, and these things were pretty amazing. And when you pull them off, they didn't mess up your shirt. So anyway, long story short, I promoted the product. He ended up going through a divorce. This is, you know, a few years ago. And so there's so much that went into this. There's so much that went into this. let's make this long story, try and make this a little bit short. Anyway, he had a friend, Brian, that was trying to help him out. My buddy was going through a divorce. She wanted this, this with this. And so Brian, myself, and my friend at the time, we basically were like, hey, what can we do? How can we keep this company going? Because he didn't have any money and he was going through sort of like a nasty divorce. And so Brian and I came together. Brian, he actually had resources. He had some money. And we came together and decided, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to offer your soon-to-be ex-wife a buyout for this business. Long story short, we ended up acquiring or buying this business from the dude's ex-wife. And the way that the equity worked, I had 50%. My buddy and his friend, who actually put the money up, had the other 50%. And so my equity came because I was going to be doing this. I was going to be promoting it. I was going to be fulfilling it. I was going to use my warehouse at Pete and Pedro. We were going to handle all of that, customer service and everything. Plus, I was going to be promoting it. Long story short, we started promoting it. It was doing well. It was doing okay. For one person who was starting a business, it would have been a great business. I think at the time that I got out of this, I think it was doing about I don't know, maybe $100,000, maybe $150,000 a year. Now, the good news with this, it was a fairly high profit margin. The bad news with this is that it needed me to really drive it. And whenever I drive or whenever I promote something, there is an opportunity cost for me. Because if I don't promote this, I can promote these pens, right? And I can just get a flat fee for promoting whatever I'm promoting. It's all about opportunity cost. And so the other issue was that I wasn't as passionate about it. The issue and the problem that this was solving, it wasn't there like it used to be. And so, I had to be honest. I had to be honest and realize that, okay, for me to really want to drive this and really want to build this business, I've got to be all in. I've got to really, move the needle. We were experimenting with, paid advertising and stuff like that in terms of remarketing and stuff, and it was okay. But to really move the needle on this, I needed to promote it. And I wasn't in it. I didn't feel it. And so I went to Brian, who now owns this 100%. I said, Brian, I'm just not feeling it, dude. And I said, I want to get out of this. And so at the time, we agreed that he would basically buy out my equity because I had, put in some time and energy to build this company up to a six-figure business. I ended up saying, you know what, just give me $25,000. And we're done. And here you go. You have this. You have the website. You have everything. And so he ended up agreeing to that. And then when all of the paperwork was done, and I basically was like, all right, here it is. I sent all the inventory to him. He realized that there was a problem. There was a problem making the actual product again from the manufacturer. And so he actually had to shut down business for a very, very long time. And so when I heard that, I just said, you know what? Don't worry about it. You can just keep it. It's okay. I'm sorry. I felt bad that he was going through this. And so I just gave it away. I don't believe I ever got a penny from this after I sort of said, here you go. And it's something I don't regret. It's something that I feel good about, and it wasn't right. So I walked away. I walked away pretty much without anything, honestly. And it was okay. It felt good. And I got peace of mind, and I got sort of my time back, and I got the emotional and the mental bandwidth back. And for me, that was more important than an extra, $50, $60, $100,000 a year. And so, my energy, my efforts are more important that I put them into these other businesses that have a lot bigger potential return and that we're doing more in business. Now let's talk about Ollie. So Ollie was a different scenario. My buddy Terry, who is my best friend from high school, who has the advertising agency with me, he met this dude, Marcus, at the Menfluential Conference. Marcus was starting this business, Ollie. He let Terry try the strips, and he fell in love with them. He's like, dude, I think this could be a really great business. And so Terry went to his brother Brian, went to me, and I tried them. I'm like, yeah, I think these are amazing. And wouldn't it be cool if we did some type of subscription? And so we conceptualized this thing where the first month you get a transformation kit, and then each month after that you get 4 strips. And so we were shipping one of these each month, which was a critical mistake. One of the big issues that you're going to find whenever you do any business where you're actually selling things and then shipping it to them, shipping is probably it's like the second highest cost. Next to the actual cost of the products, shipping is like the big problem. And so for us to ship something every month to a customer just to get it on like a monthly subscription, that was dumb. What we should have done is maybe done like every 3 months or every 4 months, or just do like annual packages. That would have been smarter because it would have saved a lot of shipping money, but we didn't do that. And so anyway, so we started this business. We decided to do this. I was a percentage owner. Everybody else, we were all like equal percentage owners, honestly, of Ollie. And once again, my role was going to be promotion. My role also was going to be the fulfillment end of things. Should I have had more equity? Probably, but the reason why I was excited about this business was A, I thought it was a great business. I love the product. The other reason was because I wanted to help my best friend Terry and his brother Brian. I wanted to help them build a business. My thinking is that I want to help them build a business that does not require me to promote it. And the idea behind this was that we were going to get a bunch of female influencers, and it wasn't going to have to be like me doing the driving. And that's one of the other reasons why I was super excited about this. And so that was the theory. And the reason why I was so excited about helping my buddy Terry and Brian start this business was because I wanted to help them build something outside of me. You know, because they are partners, or Terry's a partner, Brian actually does work for Menfluential Media, a lot of their revenue and the amount of money that they make depends on me doing promotions. They get a percentage of, or the agency and Terry gets a percentage of whatever I do. And it scares me. It scares me a little bit, the fact that, you know, if I decide to ever want to just like not do promotions, it feels like I had a lot, sorry, this is kind of hard for me to talk about a little bit. I feel a lot of responsibility for people. There are a lot of people depending upon, you know, me continuing to make content. And so I was hopeful and excited about helping them build a business that if I ever wanted to be like, you know what, I just don't want to do YouTube anymore, I could without feeling this weight of responsibility for my friends, honestly. And so I was like, yeah, let's do this, let's do it. So we get all excited, we get our inventory, and we get the inventory, and we start selling it, and there's a problem. The strips were like, there's an issue with the strips. And at that point, I freaked out. When we launched it, we crushed it. Like when I say crushed it, I was like, yeah, like everybody's high-fiving, like we did insane business. But when we realized that there was a problem with the strips that we got, we basically had to make the decision. Should we stop this and basically get rid of all of this inventory, or should we keep selling it and just hope that people like don't notice? And it literally took like 5 seconds to make the decision, shut it down, throw out the inventory, let's deal with it later, because no amount of money is worth my reputation. No amount of money is worth, you know, people being like, oh, this thing sucks that Alpha M did, and this is terrible, because we talk a lot about reviews, we talk a lot about feedback from other people, and we look to other people for reviews. If we would have sold all that inventory, like that's it, game over to not only the business, but me and my credibility. And so it was like, no money is worth it, and so shut it down. And then we completely shut down the business. There was actually a picture I posted on Instagram throwing every single box that we had of this product into a big dumpster. There's nothing we could do. It was the only decision we could make. And so we went to our manufacturer, and you know, they're like, oh, we'll give you a little bit of credit because yes, technically, like some of it was our fault, but it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. And that type of issue could kill most businesses. Now, for us, the good news is that, you know, we had the advertising and marketing, you know, sort of strength of me so that, you know, we could come back. But that point, that really scared me. And so, long story short, we started, you know, working with the manufacturer. We tested a bunch of strips. We were on our last strip from the manufacturer before we were going to have to be like, yeah, this just isn't working. That the strips, we got them and they were good. They were really good. It was a different formula. It was a different, you know, sort of mechanism, but they were great. And so, okay, let's do this. And so it took literally like 3 months of the business being shut down. Well, during that time, it sort of scared me a little bit, to be honest. And I really started thinking about the potential, what could have happened? And I know that that's not necessarily something that you should look at or should think about, but it was very apparent to me. And because of the 3-month lag time, all of the initial excitement, all of the initial like, oh my God, we're killing it, let's do this, keep it going, it all went away. It not only went away, it got like worse. At that point, when we got inventory back, it was like, deep breath, let's do this again. And at that point, I wasn't in it. I wasn't in it, mentally. I wasn't excited about it. And I agreed to like 1 promotion a month. And when I'd promote it, sales went up. We started doing well, but then it would sort of dwindle. And we never, while I was a part of the company, we never sort of figured out that mechanism to get other people to promote it. And so the business started back and we started selling. We started getting people subscribing and everything was going okay. Things were going well. Honestly, if one person owned Ollie, it would have been a great business for them. But there were 4 of us, which means that, everything sort of gets split up and divided and the margins, although good, if you're selling something for like $6, say you're making like $3 on something or $5 even, divide that up, 4 different ways, take out expenses, at the end of the year, what are you really left with? The potential upside, it wasn't really there for me. The work it was going to have to take to get it to that point where you had, 100,000 subscribers and it's actually making like really great money for 4 people, it was more than I was willing to do. Now, I realized that like pretty much immediately. And if it was up to me back then, I would have let the business just not even start up again because I wasn't in it. But I felt guilty. I felt guilty. I felt like I had to give it a shot because I told these guys I would. And so I did. And so I continued to do my promotions and I wasn't in it. And it became a pain in the butt. I got sort of like resentful and a little bit angry. And the other problem is that the 4 of us, nobody was really like paying attention and focusing on this business. It was like 4 people that have like other things going on because remember, Brian and Terry, they're running, the advertising agency that is doing really well. And that is where their attention is going to go to where, you go where the money is kind of. And that's kind of a reality that you also need to be aware of. Your attention is going to be more geared towards where you make the money, and the amount of effort, the amount of time, the amount of, bandwidth that you're going to have to put in to build something small to get it bigger, it just might not be worth the squeeze. And so for me, Ollie wasn't worth the squeeze. And so I had to have a very, very, very hard conversation with my friends and say, guys, I'm not in this. I don't want to do this. And so, here you go, I'm out. And honestly, in their defense, they were super understanding because, we love each other. We're buddies. And above anything else, that's what it's about. And they continued to run Ollie and they did well with it. And they eventually ended up selling Ollie. So Ollie is still kicking, but they ended up selling it to somebody, which is great for them. I didn't get anything. I didn't want anything. And so once again, it was just me walking away. So both of these companies, I walked away. At the time when I started, I was super excited. And as it sort of unfolded, I could have kept doing it. But with doing this, it meant that I was not doing or I wasn't paying attention to these other businesses. And one of the things that I realized last year was that I need to not bite off more than I can chew. They say that hindsight is 20/20, right? Looking back, I would have done it again. I would have done both of these businesses again, honestly, because if I hadn't, I would have thought, maybe I should have, what would have happened, what could have happened? The place where I'm in, I don't want to regret anything. But that being said, these businesses also taught me an incredibly valuable lesson. Do not start a business or agree to something that you're not 100% like committed to. Do not start anything or agree to anything that you're not like committed to. If you half-ass anything, it's not going to work. And I sort of half-assed these, apparently. At first, I was like, no, I'm in. And then I tried it, and I was like, oh, this is going to be harder than I realized. Am I really willing to commit the time, the energy, the bandwidth, and the opportunity cost to drive these things? Because I could have, honestly, if I'm being honest, I could have promoted these 2 things, just promoted and promoted and promoted, and we could have made these a crazy success. But I didn't want to. I wasn't passionate. I wasn't into it. And so I made the decision that it's time to go. I hope that makes sense. It's really just about identifying opportunities that you're excited and you're passionate about and not trying to chase every dollar or potential dollar. and I guess the reason why I'm starting to think about this even a little bit more is that I was approached the other day about, oh, here's the deal. We could create, my team and I could create a membership site for you. You could charge a monthly fee. You know, we could use your existing content. All you would need to do is promote it a little bit. They wanted to create like an Alpha M like site. And I'm like, I thought about it. He showed me all the numbers, and it could have been, you know, it could have been a lot of money probably. But I said, no, I don't want to do this. I'm not excited about it. I don't want to do that. That's not what my heart is into. And it's not about, you know, necessarily the money all the time, guys. You've got to be honest with yourself. And when something's not right, it's not right. And there's no, you know, amount of money that can actually change that. And so you've just got to be disciplined. You've got to be honest with yourself. And for me, I had to be honest with myself with these. Both of them were hard decisions, but ultimately I feel like I made the best decision possible. There's one more business question that I want to get to before I sign off, because I'm probably going a little bit long. So I appreciate you hanging in there with me today. It's from our friend Sergiu. I'm sorry for butchering this name. He said, you said in this video that the entrepreneur in you is all about thinking of different business ideas. Oh, yes. Last vlog I talked about, for me, I'm always thinking about different businesses, which kind of is the truth. I'm always thinking about different businesses, but it doesn't mean that I should start a bunch of different businesses. Anyway, my question is, do you think that someone who wants to be an entrepreneur should set out with the goal of starting a business and then finding the business idea to implement? Or is it better to have a great idea, even though it may take more time, and think of the business afterwards? This is a great question. I don't know. I'm not sure. For me, I've always had the idea and then wanted to start a business around that. But that being said, there are a lot of people that decide, you know what, I want to be in business. I want to be an entrepreneur. And then they find the business later. And I think that's really great. I mean, I think you can do both. If you've got an idea and you know, like, yo, I want to do this, I'm going to figure out how to do it, do it. But if you just want to start a business, once you decide that, then it's about figuring out what business you want to do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. You know, looking at different opportunities, looking at different environments. I mean, that's sort of, you know, look at franchise businesses. These are people that want to be in business. They want to be an entrepreneur, but, you know, they don't necessarily know the idea. And so they're going to look towards a franchise to actually help them create a business and actually roll that out. And then they run it and they operate it and they are an entrepreneur. It really depends on you. It depends on what you're interested in doing. There are so many opportunities out there, and there are so many things that you can do, even if you don't necessarily have like an amazing idea. It's about being smart, taking a look at what's out there and what you think you would enjoy doing, and then going after it. And once you do, then just be honest with yourself. Like, yeah, I thought I was going to be really into this. Try it out. If it doesn't work, boom, you're on to the next one. There's nothing wrong with testing, trying, readjusting, and reevaluating. That's honestly what you have to do at any stage of business, but truly, it's going to be something you need to do if you're an entrepreneur. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to the story of the fashion anchor and Ollie. There's a lot more that goes into both of those stories, but I'm trying to condense this. I'm also trying to be respectful to everybody involved. And so thank you so much for all that you've done for me, all that you've done for everybody that I'm involved with at Tiege Hanley. Guys, thank you so much for everything. You are amazing. And as always, we love you more than our double monk strap shoes. And if you've got a business question, down below, start it with business question and ask it. Next week, we're going to get to some of yours. I also have a pretty solid update that I think you're going to love. Speaking of love, we at Tiege Hanley love you. Is that the dumbest thing I've ever done? Actually, probably not. Gentlemen, you rock. You're amazing. We love you. Bye-bye.